Schlock, would you put your appearance on the record, please?
Good morning. For the record, James Schlock, and I represent the witnesses subpoenaed in this matter, Mr. Timothy Russell, who is a co-defendant in one of the interrogation trials on this.
And you had represented him
at that point.
earlier. Yes, thank you. And good morning, Mr. Russell. Mr. Russell, well, first, let me hear from Mr. Schlock.
Right, Your Honor. As part of my duties, Mr. Russell, I tried to seek out what was going to be asked of Mr. Russell during the course of this examination from both Mr. McWilliams and the prosecution. And based on that, Your Honor, I told my client about that. I told him that he has an absolute right under the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution and the similar clause in the Michigan Constitution to refuse to testify if his testimony should incriminate him in any charges. And there's the subject matter, that is, there are any charges, yes. And based on that, it's my belief that he's going to refuse to testify and invoke the Fifth Amendment. Is that correct, sir?
Well, the 10 amendments are told.
I'm sorry?
10 amendments are told. You're saying that they don't...
That there would be a possibility, because of your testimony, if it would incriminate you, that they would charge you both in state and possibly in federal court as well.
Mr. McWilliams, you want to...
I do, Your Honor. Thank you very much. I'm Attorney John McWilliams, representing Kevin Smith in the case before the court. I was requested per the court rules and regularly scheduling matters for trial to prepare a witness list for and on behalf of Kevin Smith, and the name of Timothy Russell, at the request of my client, Mr. Kevin Smith, was added to my client's witness list. Advised the court where Mr. Russell was and requested that he be brought here and named on our witness list, and would be requesting that he would testify for and on behalf of Mr. Kevin Smith at this particular time, which then brings him to this point in this courtroom.
All right, thank you, Mr. McWilliams. Mr. Moran.
Your Honor, there is ample evidence on this record that this witness, Mr. Russell, was clearly involved in this conspiracy, and he can decide to do what he wants. But I mean, if he testifies, I'll be asking him questions not only about the ongoing conspiracy, which he was never charged with, involving up to 13 other robberies. In addition, there's a pending federal case where this defendant, Mr. Smith, is charged, where he has been implicated not by 2 witnesses who have testified thus far, and he'd be opening himself up to that liability as well.
All right, and as my understanding is that with regards to the jewelry store robbery out of Roseville, that is within the scope of the charge of conspiracy to commit armed robbery. So that if Mr. Russell were to testify on direct examination and certainly on cross-examination by the prosecutor, Mr. Russell could be asked about that. In light of the fact that there is federal charges have already been brought, and I think Mr. Schlopp, in a meeting that we had earlier with Mr. Moran in terms of the scope of the information available to the prosecution and their attention, Mr. Russell, as Mr. Moran indicated, certainly is free to do whatever he wishes to do, with the understanding that if charged federally, any federal conviction would run consecutive or would start after he had finished his state term.
So,
you understand that, Mr. Russell?
So you do plan to testify, is that correct, sir? Invoking your Fifth Amendment right. Very well, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right.
One more thing, Judge. I did, and through counsel, receive a personal information from Mr. Russell to be conveyed to Mr. Smith, which I will do.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. You can discharge the writ then on Mr. Russell, and then you can be sent back up to the partner. All right, let's have the jury.
Right, 124.
Oh, wait.
1 second, sir. We'll get it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You ready, Judge?
Yes, thank you.
All right, for the jury. Thank you. May be seated.
Right.
Yes.
Ms. McWilliams, whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. May it please the court. Good morning, officer.
Good morning, sir.
You're retaking the stand from your examination by Mr. Moran this morning, are you not?
Yes, sir.
We now know that you have been here in the courtroom, and your role in this matter was taking over for Ms. Dillon while she was disabled for a period of time as officer in charge of the case. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've told us how you believe how this case developed. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it developed over a period of time.
Yes, sir.
It didn't just all of a sudden come about in 29 minutes or 26 minutes as on television.
That's correct.
Okay. And certainly the persons that were developed, they were called in individually and interrogated by yourself and Ms. Dillon. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when they were, you spoke directly to them. Okay, and I'll tell you, Don Diego Adams eventually, isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
And also Timothy Russell, isn't that correct?
No, sir.
No? Okay. How about Mr. Kevin Smith?
Yes, sir.
Anyone else?
Robert Williams.
Robert Williams, okay. And in talking with them, they were talked to individually, were they not?
Yes, sir.
And you spoke to them at length, each one of them, did you not?
Yes, sir.
And for at least each one of them, there were several discussions with them, were there not?
Yes.
Okay, over several period of days.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they were brought in, initial conversation, they were escorted out, and maybe hours or days, a day or so later, then they were re-interviewed, correct?
I believe so.
And during the period of time that you had them individually on the first time, you had discussions with them about facts related to the events that we are here in this case about. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And wouldn't you agree with me that over a period of time that each one of these individuals that we've just talked about strenuously denied any involvement in anything, most anything, that we've come to talk about as the facts of this case? Isn't that generally true?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you've been through many interrogations, have you not?
Yes, sir.
You're trained in interrogating people.
Yes, sir.
And you know that oftentimes people don't make confessions or make statements adverse to their position or anyone else on the first interview, correct?
Yes, sir.
And as a matter of fact, sometimes, if not always, the first interview is to
lay the foundation for the next interview.
It could.
Okay, and it could very well have been, and was in fact, in these particular 3 interviews that you did. Isn't that true?
Which 3 interviews are you
Well,
talking
okay, you take what was the first interview that you did with these people, if you can recall?
I'm sorry, can you ask that
Which
again?
one? Which interview did you do first of the 3 persons who we were talking about?
Robert Williams.
Okay, as to Robert Williams, you talked to him one day, and then hours later or a day or so later, you talked to him again.
No,
No, you only talked to him once.
I believe so. I
Okay.
talked to him one time.
Okay, during that period of time that you talked to Robert Williams, you imparted certain things to him, did you not? And giving him a little tidbit of information that would help him or urge him to speak further with you. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Okay. You didn't lay out all your case. You let him know in some fashion that some things were going to happen and coming down. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Okay. And you're trained in interrogating persons.
Yes.
You're not just off the street from a patrol car to ask questions without having a goal of and a purpose and a strategy of interviewing and interrogating persons. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Okay. And so in your discussions, so-called, with Robert Williams, you imparted to him that you knew more about him that you were letting on, and that he was being asked to cooperate with you and tell supposedly the truth. Isn't that true?
I did ask him to tell the truth, yes.
That's right. Okay. And as a matter of fact, that's, I wouldn't want to say a tactic, but that is a standard operating procedure of officers who are interrogating people, to get them to tell the truth. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
And oftentimes, you already know what the truth is, and as a matter of fact, that's what was in the case with regard to Robert Williams. Isn't that true? Well, let me ask you this. You believed that you knew at that time, and as you progressed, what the truth was.
I believe Robert Williams made some admissions the night he was arrested, the first arrest, that led us to believe he was involved.
Okay. So, you had an inkling that you knew what the truth of the matter was as to his involvement in the scope of what we're talking about this case.
Can you rephrase that?
You knew going in that he had information about the scope and breadth of what it was that you were going to talk to him about that involved these cases. Isn't that true?
No.
No? Okay. Well, at some point in time, you began talking to him about his involvement in some things, did you not?
Yes.
And the involvement of other persons, right?
Yes.
Okay. And of course, during that period of time, he substantially denied involvement, did he not?
That's correct.
And he did the best he could by looking you in the eye, and also Miss Dillon, who was there in the room, correct?
He hung his head most of the time.
Okay. And denied any involvement. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Okay. And at some point in time, that interview ended, but it was certainly more than an hour interview, was it not?
I believe it was.
Okay. And you were feeding him certain information, encouraging him to be forthcoming and truthful. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
And he continued to hold the same position that he initially substantially did. Isn't that true?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And during the point of time discussing things with Mr. Williams, did you mention, and you did mention, in fact, the name Kevin Smith, did you not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And will you acknowledge that it would seem truthful to and apparent to most anyone who witnessed the interrogation of him that you were very interested in the person and the conduct of Mr. Kevin Smith being involved in the situation what we're here about?
I believe we were interested in the whole group, sir.
Okay, and certainly that included Kevin Smith.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and who else did it involve?
Robert Williams and Timothy Russell.
Okay. And so certainly at least the person Kevin Smith was a target, isn't that correct?
I'm sorry, was it what?
A target of getting information about Mr. Kevin Smith from Robert Williams.
At the time we arrested Don Diego Adams, Kevin Smith, Robert Williams, and Timothy Russell were already charged.
Okay, and thereafter, is that when the search warrants were executed, or very close in time to that?
Yes.
Okay. So they certainly did not Mr. Kevin Smith wasn't present to interfere with or have any personal influence on what was going on during the course of those court-ordered search warrants. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, during the course of your interrogation in this case, did you ever recover a .45 caliber handgun that had something to do with the incident at Judge Berg's house? Did you ever recover such an item from Kevin Smith?
I'm sorry, sir. I didn't quite understand the question. You were talking about interrogation and then...
Okay. I want to just ask you, in things that you've recovered in this particular case, because you didn't not only recovered things, but you were responsible for the team that did recover things. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
My question is, did you recover, or your team recover, or do you know of the recovery of the .45 that allegedly shot the victim, Judge Kevin Berg? Did you get it from Kevin Smith?
No, sir.
Okay. You know, of course, who Robert Williams is.
Yes, sir.
Did Robert Williams ever say Kevin Smith traded that .45 for a 9mm Ruger with a guy by the name of Man?
Yes.
He did say that?
I don't know if he said the Ruger, but he definitely said they traded it for a 9mm.
Okay. Did you recover that .45 from Man?
No.
Was it ever recovered?
No, not to my knowledge.
Did you recover a 9mm Ruger that was gray and black from Kevin Smith?
No, sir.
Okay. Was any such item ever recovered from Kevin Smith?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you recover a .38 caliber firearm from Kevin Smith?
No, sir.
Okay. Was it ever acquired from anybody else, or recovered, I should say, from Kevin Smith?
No, sir.
From your team?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Did you find any masks or gloves, latex gloves, or as a result of the raid at Kevin Smith's house?
No, sir.
Okay, actually it was his mother's house, correct? It was allegedly he was residing there, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it true that if it was not for Don Diego Adams and Robert Williams, that Kevin Smith would not have been charged with conspiracy and attempted murder of Judge Berg?
I have to object. It's a legal objection, Your Honor. Call for speculation on behalf of the officer.
Response?
I think it's a proper question, Your Honor, that my client and the trier of facts deserve to hear the answer of.
Well, I disagree. I think that is a legal conclusion, and I'll sustain the objection.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Is it true that when you were asked, and I will ask you whether or not you were asked with regard to Robert Williams, where did Kevin go after the shooting with regard to the address over on Puritan. Are you familiar with an address on Puritan and anything said about the address on Puritan after the incident on Oak Drive?
Yes, sir.
And what was that?
They said that Don Diego Adams said he drove to 375 Puritan, which is Alan Corbin's house, and they dropped off Mr. Smith.
Okay. And is it true that when was asked of Don Diego Adams, he said that he had dropped Kevin Smith off on Hilldale?
I don't recall that.
Okay, he could have said that. Is that correct? He might have, and you just don't recall it, or what?
I remember him telling me that they dropped him off on Puritan.
Okay. Did you ever speak with a person by the name of Denisa Russell?
Denise A. Russell, yes, sir.
Thank you. And she is the sister of Timothy Russell, correct?
Yes, sir.
You did interrogate Miss Russell, did you not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And my question is, did Denisa Russell tell you at any time that she knew that robberies were happening with her brother and Robert, but she stated that she did not know anything about the robberies? Did she say that?
I don't quite understand the question. There's multiple things that she had mentioned.
Okay, well, in fact, she never said, in fact, that Kevin Smith was involved in those robberies. Isn't that true?
I think that would be hearsay, Your Honor. Just
I think it's open to interpretation by the court and a proper question of this witness, Your Honor.
I think it does call for a hearsay response. I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Did you ever put Don Diego's cousin, and you know Robert, you knew they were related?
Robert Williams and Don Diego Adams, we learned later that they are cousins, yes.
Okay, did you ever did he ever go into a lineup in which Judge Berg was shown him that you know of?
Who are you talking about?
I'm asking. Okay, I'll repeat the question.
Thank you.
Officer, did you ever put Don Diego Adams, who was Robert Williams' cousin, in a lineup that was shown to Judge Terrence Berg?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you know of any other cousin, such as a person by the name of John, that had made any threats against Kevin Smith's family in some kind of lineup? You know anything about that?
No, sir.
Okay. In your investigation and handling this case, does the name of Harry ever has a name Harry ever come up?
I heard Harry the other day.
Okay, and in what context?
That he was a driver on Eileen Street.
Okay, my question is, did you put the other cousin of Don Diego and Robert Williams, named Harry, in a lineup that was shown to Judge Terrence Berg?
He has not been identified.
Okay. Did you cause or participate in any lineup in which Robert's brother was put into a lineup?
I don't know who Robert's brother is.
Okay. Whose gun did Robert and his cousin use, if you know, on Faust Street?
Whose gun did they use?
Yes, sir.
It was a laser pointer that would have been Kevin's gun.
And how do you know that?
Because the victim described the weapon having a laser sight on the gun as the perpetrators entered the house, and then when I recovered the gun at Kevin's house, it has a laser pointer, and he's made admissions to having the gun with the laser pointer.
Okay. Do you ever recall Robert Williams telling you or anyone else that it was Timothy Russell that shot the judge and changed his story later to make it Kevin Smith?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes, sir. Do you have any information or recollection that Robert Williams told you it was Timothy Russell that shot the judge and stayed with the story that would put Kevin Smith as the shooter?
The original story that we were told is that Kevin Smith was always the shooter of Judge Berg, but it was Timothy Russell who stood by the tree and was his lookout that night. And then Robert Williams recanted that and said, no, it wasn't Tim that was standing by the tree, it was me.
Okay. So, allegedly there were a number of visits to pawn shops, correct?
Yes, sir.
And my question is there any video of Kevin Smith being in a pawn shop with Don Diego Adams?
No.
Okay. May I have Exhibit 136 put up, please? Do you see that that photograph there, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And have you seen ones either similar to it that are surrounding that particular photograph?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that supposedly is taken at an ATM machine, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's just an outtake of a video, correct?
Yes.
Okay. On that particular photograph and any others that would be surrounding that photograph in the form of a video, do you as an officer see any such thing as dreadlocks in that photograph on that person?
No, he's wearing a hood.
Okay. Those items that you found over on Hilldale at 174 Hilldale, that was the home of Kevin Smith's mother, correct?
Yes.
And that was subject to a lawfully signed search warrant by a judge.
Yes, sir.
And you went there personally?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that house had different areas in it, did it not?
Yes.
Okay. And you searched various areas of that house?
Yes.
Okay. And there were various levels of the house?
Yes.
And did you discover or form a belief in which level of the house the person that Kevin Smith was the main occupier of that area?
There was a few different ones that were, when I asked his mom
Okay.
where he stayed, she pointed out a few different
Actually,
spots.
it was in the basement, was it not?
No.
Where was it?
On the couch was one.
Was that couch in the basement, sir?
No. It was
Where
in the
was it?
living room.
Living room, okay. And when you say there were more than one, what are you trying to convey?
Well, she said sometimes he sleeps in this other room over here where there was no bed. It was just some clothing on the floor, and then he also admitted to sleeping in the same bed with his mother.
Okay. I take it there were other people in the house, and possibly for convenience or availability, that was what he was referring to?
I don't know.
Okay. Of the items that you've described as having been returned or the subject of the return of service in the search warrant, was there anything that was in close proximity, if at all, to where the area was where you could say that was where the area in that house where Kevin Smith occupied?
Yes.
Okay, what was that?
Well, the clothing, they told us he had a bag of clothes in the closet. So that would have been within feet of where the couch was, and then also the common area where where the gun was found on the cabinet was the living room, which would have just been within feet of the couch as well.
Okay. And I take it that, did I see that one gun was found way up in an attic?
No, it wasn't an attic.
What was it, way upstairs?
It was a closet in an upstairs bedroom.
Okay, that certainly was no place where you described that Kevin Smith seemed to be the occupier of. Isn't that true?
Well, he did admit to sleeping in the bed with his mom, and that was his mom's bedroom. That where the closet was, where the gun was found.
Okay, and this gun in a apparently responsible area, it was up on top of a china cabinet or something like that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, the other gun that was found,
The Glock.
it was found on the top part of a china cabinet, would that adequately describe it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and there was bullets up there too?
Yes.
Bag?
Yes.
And were all of those bullets up there suitable for entry and use in either one of those guns?
No, sir.
Okay. They seem to be just miscellaneous, laying around in a bag shells, isn't that correct?
Well, one loose round, I believe, was a .40 caliber, but the stuff in the box was .380.
Okay. And .380, that's certainly a smaller gun than the 9mm and the .40 caliber, isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Sir, did you author any reports?
Yes, sir.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Sir, I'm going to hand you up probably a front page of a document. See if you could recognize what it is and explain it to us.
Okay, this is, I didn't actually type this. Special Agent Chris Benisi typed this. It's a debrief of Don Diego Adams after his plea deal.
Okay. You see some places that are circled down there with regard, or cordoned off, with regard to referring to Hilldale.
You circled or?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
See that area?
Yes, sir.
Does that refresh you and coincide with your recollection about the interrogation of that person? And you said it was Don Diego Adams?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what he said and where he said Kevin Smith either went or was dropped off allegedly after presumably the Oak Avenue event?
Oak Drive, yes.
Oak Drive event. Is that either consistent with what your recollection is or what in fact Don Diego Adams said?
So this is the first statement, if I believe, and he.
In which he might not have been telling the truth. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Hand that back to me. Thank you. Okay. That's all the questions I have, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Just a few questions, Your Honor. You were asked questions by Mr. McWilliams about the search warrant execution on Hilldale. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you indicated that where the items were found, that sort of thing. I want to show you, if I can, a photograph from the execution of that search warrant. I believe it's People's Exhibit 525, page 5. And you were describing the cabinet area where the Glock, the .40 caliber Glock, was recovered on top of the china cabinet, right?
Yes, sir.
You told us on direct examination that it was on the right-hand side of this photograph. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, I had you describe for me on the left, in the center of the photograph, which we're enlarging right now, the areas involving the desk or the table, and behind it are those trophies. Do you remember that discussion?
Yes, sir.
If you could bring up also People's Exhibit number 27. You recognize People's Exhibit number 27, which is a photograph taken off, I believe, the defendant's phone?
Yes, sir.
And do you recognize the area behind the defendant in People's Exhibit 27 as compared to People's Exhibit 525?
Yes, sir.
And can you tell us how you recognize it?
Well, it's the background with the trophies right there, and then you can also see the unique separation of the two rooms between the living room and the dining room to the top left of the picture.
And when you say the picture, you're talking about People's Exhibit 27?
Yes, sir.
And you're talking about the upper left-hand area of that photograph, which is enlarged, that shows the archway that separates the dining room from the living room, correct?
Yes, sir.
And behind the defendant holding a gun with a laser pointer is the trophies that are situated in People's Exhibit 525, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that, from your perspective, appears to be the same room where this photograph of the defendant holding a gun was taken, correct?
I believe so.
You can take that down. Mr. Williams asked you questions about a .45 caliber handgun being recovered from the defendant. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Now, just so I'm clear, you did not recover a .45 caliber handgun from the defendant, correct?
We did not.
From any defendant in this case, right?
No.
Did you recover a .45 caliber handgun at all in this investigation?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. McWilliams asked you a question about what Mr. Williams said. Do you recall that?
Yes.
About selling that .45 or getting rid of that .45 to Manny. Is that right?
Yes.
And it was a 9mm exchange for that, do you recall?
I believe that's what he said.
Now, Mr. McWilliams asked you specifically about a Ruger 9mm handgun. Do you recall that question?
Yes.
What was your answer about what your recollection of what Mr. Williams said?
I believe he just said 9mm handgun.
Okay. Whether it was Ruger or not, you cannot recall.
I don't recall him saying Ruger.
Okay. Do you recall the prison call that the defendant had with his friend Swindle from the Michigan Department of Corrections?
Yes, sir.
And that was recorded on March 6th of 2015, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
One day after the shooting of Judge Berg, right?
Yes.
And is that in that call where the defendant is racking a gun?
Yes.
And is it in that call where the defendant is talking about his Ruger 9mm handgun?
Yes, sir.
That's the day after Judge Berg was shot, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's right around the time period when Mr. Williams said he got rid of the gun, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And got a 9mm Ruger, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I want to bring up People's Exhibit 501. Do you recognize People's Exhibit 501, sir?
Yes, sir.
This is a photograph that was on someone's phone. Do you recall that?
Yes.
That was Mr. Williams' phone?
I believe it was.
Okay. And this is a photograph of what appears to be a 9mm Ruger handgun, correct?
Yes.
Now, I don't know how many Ruger handguns there are in the world, but this is a photograph of one on Mr. Williams' phone, right?
Yes, sir.
And on March 6th, we heard the defendant describing for his friend in prison him holding and racking a Ruger 9mm handgun, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is a photograph on Williams' phone of a Ruger 9mm handgun, right?
Yes.
The same kind of gun that Mr. Williams said that the defendant sold to Man to get rid of that .45 he used to shoot Judge Berg with, right?
They traded the .45 caliber gun for the 9mm. Yes.
Okay. Now, you can take that down. You never found a .45 handgun, right?
No.
Did you find .45 ammunition?
Yes.
Where?
At Robert Williams' residence on Outer Drive.
Mr. McWilliams asked you questions about who used that .40 caliber with the laser sight on Faust Avenue for that robbery. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now we know Mr. Smith wasn't there because that's what they told us, right?
Yes.
Someone else had a gun with a laser pointer that they robbed Mr. Reeser, correct?
Yes.
And whether it was Smith, whether it was Russell or Williams, you don't recall, do you?
I don't recall.
Okay, but someone had a gun with a .45. Someone had a gun with a laser pointer, right?
Yes.
Okay. Does it appear to you, sir, that in this conspiracy, this agreement, that ammunition and guns are traded between these individuals?
Yes.
On a regular basis?
Yes.
You got a photograph of his Ruger on Mr. Williams' phone, right?
Yes.
You got ammunition from a .380 that doesn't match any guns at his house, right?
That's correct.
You've got .45 caliber ammunition at Mr. Williams' house, right?
Yes, sir.
When you initially interrogated Mr. Russell, Mr. Adams, Mr. Smith, and/or Mr. Williams, they didn't initially tell you that they're involved with the shooting of Judge Berg, did they?
No.
That was a process, right?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Williams initially lied to you and said that he didn't get out of the car the first time he was debriefed, right?
That's correct.
Okay. The second time he was debriefed, what did he say?
He said that he was the one who was standing by the tree and not Tim Russell.
So he admitted that he was more involved than he initially told you, right?
Yes.
The second time you interviewed.
Yes.
And from the very beginning, the first time you met the defendant, he lied to you, right?
Yes.
About his own name.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Just very briefly, did the gray and black Ruger ever become recovered?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, if I show you that statement again, isn't it true that Don Diego admitted that admitted to being there the day he said that and that he admitted that he took Mr. Kevin Smith to Hilldale and not Puritan?
I don't understand your question,
Okay.
sir.
I'll hand this document back to you. Where, after allegedly, hand you a t-shirt, so thank you. Where allegedly was it that Mr. Don Diego Adams said that he dropped Kevin Smith off after presumably the shooting at Oak Drive?
In this statement, he says he dropped him off on Hilldale.
And he did change his story
Yes.
differently.
Yes.
Okay. At the time he made that statement, were you present?
Yes.
And it appeared to you, did it not, that he was trying to be, or at least he was seeming to be truthful with you. Isn't that true?
Yes.
And he was in fact being deceptive.
But I'm going to jump. That calls for speculation now.
It may not be the universe of options, Mr. McWilliams, if you want to rephrase the question.
Yes.
That's fine.
Did you later find out he was lying?
Yes.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Was that answer received, Your Honor?
I think you already answered it.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Any questions by the jurors? All right. Approach, please. Officers of Burkott, I believe earlier in your testimony, you indicated that as you were doing your investigation, you came to a conclusion or reached an opinion that Timothy Russell did a description of one of the individuals involved in some of these earlier robberies. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you tell us, please, in response to the juror's question, what is it that led you to conclude that he was someone who fit the description? What was it about him that made you think that?
His height and weight matched the descriptions from a lot of the robberies.
Any follow-up, Mr. Burnett?
No.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. You can step down.
Thank you.
Mr. Moran?
Yes, Officer Dillon? No, I don't.
Raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please have a seat. Hold the microphone in front of you.
May I inquire, Your Honor?
Please.
Tell me your name, ma'am.
Lori Dillon.
And you're a police officer with the City of Detroit, is that correct?
That's correct.
For how long?
20 years.
And what is your current assignment?
The Violent Crime Task Force.
How long have you been there, Officer Dillon?
I've been there a little over 5 years.
Okay, I'm going to take you back in time, and I'm going to just summarize. You heard Officer DeBurkott testify that you and he are co-ICs on this investigation, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you were involved from the very beginning of the investigation, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And is it true that the Violent Crime Task Force was investigating these type or a string of armed robbery, home invasion, walk-in types that were occurring in northwest Detroit?
Yes, that's correct.
And you heard Officer DeBurkott, I'm not going to go over all those details with you, but you would agree with what the testimony you heard from him about how the suspects, Kevin Smith, Russell, and Williams, and eventually Adams, unfolded. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay. As the officer in charge, you were involved in the initial investigations, correct?
Correct.
And you received an injury that required you to be disabled for a period of time?
I did.
Broke your leg?
My foot.
Foot, playing?
I wish it were a better story, but playing volleyball.
Okay. And so Officer DeBurkott took over a lot of your responsibilities in your absence, correct?
Yes, he did.
Okay. I'm gonna first take you specifically to several lineups that were conducted in this case.
Okay.
As the officer in charge, is it part of your responsibility to conduct lineups in this case?
Yes.
And back, you've heard testimony in court that in June of this year, there were a number of lineups.
You mean last year?
I'm sorry, I misspoke, Judge. In May of last year, there were a number of lineups that were conducted regarding this case. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm first going to, may I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I have a stack here.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to hand you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibits number 166, 167, 34, and 35. Ask you to take a look at those if you would, Officer Dillon. Are those four proposed exhibits, in fact, photographs of corporeal lineups?
Yes, they are.
Okay, what's a corporeal lineup?
So we have individuals who are in custody line up and stand, and we present them in front of a victim or a witness to look at.
And these photographs are for what purpose?
To show how they were that day of the lineup.
And are these photographs fair and accurate depictions of the array of individuals that were contained in the lineups that you conducted back in May of last year?
Yes, they are.
Move to omit 34, 35, 166, and 167.
Any objection?
Assuming that they're going to be, foundation's going to be laid, Judge, as to who were the persons that were the witnesses to this.
That's next.
Thank you.
Handing you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibits number 111 and 168. You recognize what those are?
168.
168, 111.
Thank you.
Officer Dillon, do you recognize what those are?
Yes, I do.
What are they?
These are the record sheets for the day of May 24th.
And by record sheets, are you referring to record sheets that are kept after a witness views a live corporeal lineup?
Correct.
And on those sheets is there a recording of the individuals who are in the lineup?
Yes.
The position they occupy, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc.
Yes.
A brief description of their height, weight, that sort of thing?
Yes, sir.
Clothing description?
Yes.
Okay. Is there also on there a description of the officers who participate in the lineup?
Yes.
And also on there is the description of the attorney, who is an independent attorney that monitors and conducts the viewing of the lineup.
Correct.
Also is the name of the person who views the live lineup on there.
Yes.
Now, as a matter of practice, after an individual reviews a lineup, if there's a statement that that person makes, the witness, is that recorded typically on the lineup sheet?
Yes.
Is it your practice, after a statement is made, to allow the witness to then sign the document, thus adopting the statements that are on the form?
Yes, that's correct.
And did you utilize that in this particular case?
Yes, it was.
Now, do those lineup sheets relate to People's Proposed Exhibits 34, 35, 167, and 166?
Yes, they do.
And who viewed these arrays on those two sheets, 111 and the other number?
These two sheets indicates David Reeser.
Okay. And these are proposed exhibit numbers 168 and 111. I renew my motion to 134, 135, 166, and 167, as well as 111 and 168.
Any objection?
No.
Shall be received.
And Mr. Rooster, after viewing these lineups, made some identifications of some individuals, correct?
Correct.
One of the individuals he did not pick out was the defendant.
That's correct.
Showing what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit number 170 and 169. Do you recognize what these are?
This is a photo array that was prepared with defendant Adams.
Can you tell us why there's sometimes you do live lineups and sometimes you do photo arrays? Is there a reason?
Sure. If our defendant or our target is in custody, we like to sometimes do a live lineup. If our person is not in custody and we have them identified, we'll present a photo array.
In this particular case, as it relates to Don Diego Adams' involvement in one of these crimes, a photograph array was done, correct?
Yes, that's
Now
correct.
that's a copy of the photograph array?
Yes.
Not the original, correct?
Correct. The original's in color.
Okay. And after those lineups were viewed, were both those lineup arrays viewed by Mr. Rooser?
Yes.
.170 is just a copy of 169, correct?
No, that's not correct. So we don't put the names on the copy that we show to our victim or our witness. So the copy here that Mr. Reeser, where he circled, does not indicate the names of the subjects on the photo array. So one has the names and the other one does not.
So only one of those was shown to Mr. Rooser?
That's correct.
And why do you put the names on the other one?
So we know who we put on the array.
After Mr. Rooster looked at the photograph array, and just for the record, it's number 169, did he make an identification?
Yes, he did.
And which number did he circle?
He circled number 3.
Okay, but the name was not on number 3, correct?
That's correct.
Move to omit 169, Your Honor.
Without objection.
On 170, the name of the position number 3 is occupied by whom?
Defendant Don Diego Adams.
Is that who Mr. Rooster picked out after viewing the photographic lineup?
Yes, he did.
Okay, move to omit 170, Your Honor.
Without objection.
Shall be received.
And just so I recall, that's for the robbery that occurred at his house on Fowl Street, correct?
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. Now, in addition to those photographic arrays and those live lineups that you conducted in May involving Mr. Rooser, did you also conduct lineups involving Mr. and Mrs. Stewart, Mrs. Sevier, and Judge Berg around the same time period?
Yes,
And also then subsequently in June, is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay. Any what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit numbers 338, 339, 340, and 341. Take a look at those if you would, please. Oop, one more, 342.
Okay.
Can you tell me what those are, please?
Yes, these again are photographs of the lineup, the subjects involved in the lineup.
And those are photographs that were taken in June of 2015, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And are those photographs of the arrays that were witnessed by Mr. and Mrs. Stewart, Ms. Sevier, and Judge Berg?
Yes.
And those photographs appear to be different than the photographs that we admitted a moment ago. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a different location.
Okay. And those photographs appear to be darker in color. Is that right?
That's correct.
Can you explain why that is?
So this lineup was conducted at the Wayne County Dickerson facility. At the Dickerson facility, they have a room. It's a lot smaller than the room at where the other photos were taken on May 24th at the Detroit Detention Center. The room's a very small area with just cinder blocks in the background, and then in front of them there's a two-way glass in front of them so that our victim or witness can't be viewed while conducting our lineups.
Were these photographs taken from behind the two-way glass?
Yes, they were. That's why they're a little bit darker than they actually were that day. The lighting was a little better.
You heard Judge Berg testify that the lighting condition was a little bit better, but not much better when he viewed the lineups that were taking place on June 16th of 2015. Is that your recollection?
Of what he said, yes. I would say it wasn't a little bit better. It was a lot better than what this picture depicts.
Okay. In your estimation, the lighting was a lot better than it appears in those photographs?
Correct. Not great, but it was definitely better than the photo depicts.
So if you're looking at a photograph from behind the glass, the array would be lighted better than is reflected in that photograph, those photographs.
Correct. We had to take the photo from the other side of the glass, so the camera's looking through the smoked glass, and we couldn't have a flash on it would reflect back.
Okay. So the purpose of taking these photographs was why?
To show how the subjects looked that day of the photo.
Okay. But you're certain that the viewing of this array the conditions were better for the witnesses?
The lighting, yes.
The lighting was better. Okay. Now, the lineup sheets themselves, I'm going to hand you People's Proposed Exhibit number 36.
What was that number again, please?
36, Your Honor.
Oh.
Number 414, 415, 416, 131, and 132. Take those if you would, please.
Okay.
Officer Dillon, have you had a chance to look at those lineup sheets?
Yes.
And they're all of these are in fact lineup sheets or records of the lineups that were viewed by the witnesses on June 16th of 2015, correct?
That's correct.
Starting with People's Proposed number 36, this is a lineup sheet involving Anita Sevier, is that correct?
That's correct.
Move to amendment number 36, Your Honor.
I think it's already admitted.
Okay.
If not,
I
according
think
to my log, it is.
I think a couple were admitted out of order,
Okay.
but I'm going to make sure they're admitted.
All right.
Showing you People's Proposed number 414. This is a lineup sheet for Judge Terrence Berg, is that correct?
That's correct.
For June 16, 2015, correct?
Correct.
Move to admit 414.
Any objection?
No.
It'll be received.
Lineup sheet 415, another lineup sheet involving Judge Berg for the date of 6/16/2015, correct?
Correct.
And in this one, there's indication that he recognized someone that resembles the shooter, correct?
Correct.
And not Kevin Smith, who's in the photograph, not in the array, correct?
Correct.
Move to omit 415.
I'll grant that motion. According to my log, it's already in.
My recollection also, Judge.
Okay.
416, which is a photographic record of Anita Sevier.
Yes.
Okay, and her conclusions after reviewing the lineup with the defendant and also Robert Williams, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And she indicated, Mr. Williams, not the defendant, correct? And she made a statement that's signed by her, correct?
Correct.
Again, it might already be admitted, but I've moved to admit 416.
All right, 416 already is
Okay.
received.
131 and 132 relate to MacArthur Stewart and Saunders Stewart, correct?
Yes.
And those are also photographic records of June 16, 2015, correct?
Correct.
Okay. They've not been already admitted, Your Honor. I move to admit 131 and 132.
All right, they have not been yet. Any objection?
No.
131 and 132 will be received.
I would also move to omit the color photographs, which are People's Exhibit 139 through 339 through 342.
Okay, thank you.
Any objection? Without objection, Your Honor.
All right, that's fine. 339 through 342 will be received.
Now, the next day, did you attempt to do a lineup with with Timothy Russell?
Yes.
How'd that work out?
He refused.
Okay. And did you document that refusal with a police report?
Yes.
Okay. So he refused to participate in any lineups, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Officer Dillon, I'm going to hand you some maps of areas that are relevant to this investigation. First one is proposed exhibit 101. I'd ask you to take a look at that if you would. First of all, is that a map? Purports to be a map.
Yes.
Do you recognize the area?
Yes.
And what is the area?
The area is northwest Detroit, Glendale, Fullerton area. It's the area where Timothy Russell lives and the area where the Asbury Park carjacking occurred.
And are those two locations in close proximity?
Yes, they are.
And does that map, People's Proposed Exhibit number 101, actually reflect that?
Yes.
Move to admit 101, Your Honor.
It's already in.
Okay. 428, does that also appear to be a map?
Yes.
What does 428 indicate?
This map here has the location of 129 West Hilldale in relation to 20500 Woodward, and then also 19850 Finkel and 12713 St. Mary's, where Timothy Russell resides.
So that map has the Hilldale address of the robbery that occurred on April 15, 2015, correct?
Correct.
The location of the PNC Bank on Woodward, correct?
Correct.
The location of whose house?
Timothy Russell,
On which street?
St. Mary's.
And then there are some other addresses as well?
Yes, the other addresses are the locations where the ATM cards were used.
Where where Robert Williams
Where Robert Williams.
used
correct.
those ATMs. Is that a map fairly accurately depict the geographic areas?
Yes.
Move to admit 428, Your Honor.
Any objection to 428?
No, Your Honor.
Handing you map number 408. Let's take a look at that, please. Proposed exhibit number 408 is a map, correct?
Correct.
What areas does that depict?
174 West Hilldale and 235 West Gricksdale.
And why are those addresses wrong?
They're just a block apart. It's where the defendant resides and a robbery that occurred at 235 Gricksdale.
And are you familiar, does that accurately and fairly depict the areas?
Yes.
Move to admit People's Proposed number 107, Your Honor.
Without objection.
107, it's at 408.
I'm sorry, so what? 107.
107.
Any objection?
No.
Now, the address on Gricksdale, are you familiar with that particular robbery?
Yes.
And we heard testimony about the officer that responded. Are you familiar with the victim in that case?
Yes.
And his name is Charles McFerrin? Is that
McFerrin, correct.
And, is there something unusual about Mr. McFerrin, why he wasn't in court, if you know?
Yes, I believe Mr. McFerrin is a cancer patient, and he was having a procedure done.
Handing you People's Proposed Exhibit number 223. You recognize what that is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's a map. It has the address of the defendant at 174 West Hilldale and the address of the Stewarts where robbery took place at 129 West Hilldale.
And that occurred on April 15th of 2015, the robbery?
Yes.
And does that map clearly and accurately depict the location of both the robbery and the defendant's home?
Yes, it does.
If it's not already admitted, I'd move to admit 223, Your Honor.
Without.
I have a different number for 223. You want to double check?
Sure. With the court's permission, Your Honor, I'll remark this proposed exhibit as 531. The record 531 is that's a map that depicts the defendant's home and the home at 129 West Hilldale Street.
Yes, it is.
Move to admit 531, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Last map I want to show you is People's Proposed 549. You recognize this, officer?
It's a map of Metro Detroit area.
And does that have certain stars or is there highlights in certain addresses?
Yes, they appear to be addresses of where robberies took place.
Okay. And the robberies that you were investigating in the course of your investigation, correct?
Yes.
Is that fair and accurate depiction of the areas that you were investigating?
Yes.
Move to omit 549, Your Honor.
Without objection.
Will be received.
You've heard testimony from your partner about the defendants being arrested at the time of the execution of the search warrant. Is that correct?
Yes.
Does his physical appearance today differ from the way he appeared that day?
I wasn't present for the search warrants, but
Okay.
yes, I recall his hair in the past being braided in cornrows to the back.
Handing what's remarked as People's Proposed Exhibit 528. Mr. McWilliams?
May I? Thank you.
Do you recognize 528, Officer Dillon?
Yes.
What is it?
This is a Detroit police mugshot of Kevin Smith.
And when was that taken?
I believe May 20th. I'm not sure. There's not a date on here.
Did you see the defendant around that time period when he was arrested back in May?
Did I see him? No, I wasn't on the streets at that time.
Do you recall his appearance being similar to the one in the photograph?
Yes, from pictures, yes.
You described his hair as being in cornrows, is that right?
Yes.
To the back?
Correct.
And is that what's depicted in People's Proposed Exhibit number 528?
Yes.
Which is different than his appearance today?
Correct.
Move to omit 528, Your Honor.
Without objection.
All right. 528 will be received.
I want to talk to you briefly about the debriefing of Mr. Officer Williams. What?
I think we will.
Okay, that's fine. I just have two other areas to go into this witness in about 5 more minutes. But
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to break for lunch. I'm going to ask you to be back here at 5 minutes to 2. We'll see you back there.
All rise for the jury.